Today is Sunday, October 4th, and I am going to talk to you about my BookTube prize rankings. So previously in the other rounds, I filmed my rankings videos before the results were announced, and this week got away with me and I did not get this video filmed before the results were announced, so it's a little bit different this time, but that's okay. I thought today I'd just go over how I ranked the books in the final round for fiction, and then I think I have two other videos that I'd like to make related to BookTube Prize before the end of the year and my experience of being a judge, so you can look out for those in the future. Okay, my rankings. I guess I'll tell you my rankings and then I'll tell you my impressions of the final results. So in number 6, I put A Single Thread by Tracey Chevalier. I just thought that this book, out of all the other books, just didn't have the same caliber. I had some issues with the plot, which you can see in my vlog. I will include the links to both of my vlogs about in-depth thoughts about these books in the description box below if you'd like to watch those. I think it also fell victim to the fact that I read Remarkable Creatures by Tracey Chevalier this year, and it was just a better book in my opinion. So I think A Single Thread was a little bit too cliched in places for me, and I think that despite the fact that I was probably a prime audience for that book, given the subject matter of embroidery, and I do embroidery myself, I didn't fall in love with it the way I should have. So it was number 6. In number 5, I put Women Talking by Miriam Toews, which of course is quite something considering it was number 3 in the final rankings. I think it was nothing wrong with the book. I just didn't connect with it emotionally. And I think for such an intense and important topic, such as sexual assault towards women and women, under patriarchal structures and women trying to empower themselves, I should have really connected with that book. And I just didn't feel that there was enough of a bond between myself and the women in the situation. I felt it very hard to know the women. I felt like the women were very interchangeable. Like I wasn't able to distinguish them as characters. They just seemed like this collective rather than individuals. And I wanted more of the impact of what that experience had on them, and I didn't feel like that was really conveyed in the story. I think that the story, though, has a lot of merit. It has a lot of interesting ideas and things that people could really sink their teeth into when they're like thinking about the effect of patriarchy in the world and religion and how that affects your thought processes and your emotional reactions to things. So there's a lot in there to talk about and think about. I think it maybe just was the delivery that didn't work out as well for me. Okay, so in number 4, I put Lanny by Max Porter. It was again, there were a lot of things to think about. There were a lot of social commentary. There was interesting delivery of different ideas around gossip and small town living and judgment, and then there was this kind of spiritual magical realism element thrown in, and I just think that this book fell victim to me to the hype of I heard a lot about it. I heard a lot about Max Porter. I think I just expected something incredible and then read something that was fine. And I've come to understand that hype around books is really it really influences your overall reaction once you get to the book. And for me, in several cases over the BookTube Prize judging this year, the hype, I think, not ruined my reading experience, but just influenced it to the point where I couldn't rate the book as high because it had been so hyped up by all these reviews I'd heard, and I just didn't feel like it lived up to the expectations I had for it. In number 3, I ranked Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. And this book there was so much wonderfulness in it. And I connected to a lot of the characters, but not all of them. And I didn't have to like them all, but I do have to feel some sort of a connection to them all. And I don't think that this was the book's fault in any sense. I think it is my reading preferences that influenced this decision for me. I don't tend to work out well with those types of structural books where you've got multiple perspectives, and because what ends up happening is I fall in love with certain characters and I just want more from those characters, and then the other characters I read their stories and, I understand why they're there and I understand what they're saying, and, I enjoy them too, but I can't help but wanting more of the other characters. And so that inevitably makes a book of that structure where you've got 12 different characters become just not something I enjoy as much as I could, because I really wanted more of certain characters. So I think the book, obviously, Girl, Woman, Other was number 1, and I totally get it. I mean, it won the Booker. It was a finalist for the Women's Prize. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. So I have no, I'm glad that it won. I think that Bernadine Evaristo has an interesting way of writing, and her method of describing the characters and giving the characters different voices and different, through this book was great. So I certainly want to read more of Bernadine Evaristo's work as well. But yeah, for me, it was, I didn't connect with it the way I did with the ones I put in 1 and 2. So book number 2 was The Beekeeper of Aleppo by Christy Lefteri. And I put this book as number 1 in my round 2 judging. Out of all the fiction I read, in the fiction, not the nonfiction, but out of all the fiction I read for the BookTube Prize, The Beekeeper of Aleppo was the book that touched my heart the most and had the most emotional connection for me. It was just, to me, poetic, beautiful, heartbreaking, and it just captured the essence of something so well for me. And I understand, I don't know where it fell in the final rankings. It was not in the top 3. And I understand that for some people that just didn't work. I've heard lots of different, of reviews of it throughout the BookTube Prize and other things, and I get it. But again, I'm just me, my opinion, my feelings, and The Beekeeper of Aleppo just was a touching and emotional experience that was really, really has stayed with me and continues to stay with me now. And so if you know what was in the final round, you know that my number 1 for the final round was 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world by Elif Shafak. And this book ended up being number 2 in the final rankings. So I was very happy with that. So Girl, Woman, Other and 10 minutes, 38 seconds were the top 2. And for me, what put this book at number 1 was the like the ability of Elif Shafak to tell a story. She told that story, in my opinion, with perfection. There was nothing in there that shouldn't have been in there. The way she ordered everything, the structure, the characterization was brilliant. I connected with the characters, you know, and there were multiple characters as well in this story, but the way Shafak introduced them, the way she moved the story just worked for me. It kept me there. It was hard to read. There was a lot of difficult subject matter. There was a lot of hard things to wrap your head around, but I loved how the character, the city of Istanbul was a character. It was also, you know, something new, learning about Turkey, which I've never read that much about. And, you know, I think that when you're looking at a sex worker's perspective, which is what this book is, and you want to, you know, I established a connection with this character. You know, she felt real to me. She felt true. She felt like a human who was trying to do their best. There were a few things that I thought were slightly sensationalist a little bit, in terms of the way her friends handled the body and things like that. But even with those few little things that I thought strayed a little bit from the grounded reality feeling of the book, it was still my number one out of all of them. So yeah, so I'm very happy that it got to number 2. I'm very happy the Girl, Woman, Other was number 1. I think it was a wonderful book, and there's a reason that it's won prizes and that people sing about it. And, you know, I think that overall, I was really happy with the way the fiction rankings went. So for the nonfiction rankings, Know My Name by Chanel Miller was the number 1, which I have not read. So I think I will definitely read that. I love memoir. I may try to read it for nonfiction November, and then I will be able to kind of, you know, really get the rankings. Say Nothing was not successful for me. I seem to be the only person who had a problem with the violence in that book. I think other people, it just didn't bother them. Other judges, it didn't seem to bother them the way it bothered me, which is fair enough. I don't know. I think if you're used to reading a lot of thrillers and murder mysteries and crime-based, forensics-based nonfiction, then maybe, you know, those types of things don't bother you. But for me, I don't read that hardly at all. So I found reading that book to be just very, very difficult to get through. And I think, you know, as much as I learned about the Troubles and as much as I was interested in the politics and everything, it was just overshadowed by this continuous focus on violence and writing things in a way that just didn't need to be done that way. It could have been delivered differently. And then the number 3, No Visible Bruises, that was in my top 3 when I read it for round 1, I believe. It was my first round. And I think it's a wonderful book. I think it, you know, unlike Say Nothing, when there's violence in that book and when there is difficult subject matter, I mean, the whole book is difficult subject matter. It's about domestic abuse. Louise Snyder, she's just able to deliver it in a way that was digestible for me and in a way that I could read a chapter and take a breath and not feel this sense of overwhelming repetition with the violent imagery. And yeah, so I thought she was really successful with that. So yeah, definitely Say Nothing would not have been in my top 3. Again, you know, what can you do? There's different opinions, different ways of looking at it. So those are my rankings for and my thoughts on the finals for the BookTube prize for this year. Like I said, I hope to have maybe 1 or 2 more videos around my experience with judging. Hopefully that will help other people who are considering judging for next year. I know that Robert will be putting up the video for calling for new judges in the next few weeks. And I would definitely, you know, recommend some people try it out, at least for 1 round, and see how you like it. It is a really interesting experience, but again, I'll have more thoughts on that in a future video. Thank you very much for watching. I will link everything about the BookTube prize down in the description box as well, so you can check out all the other videos that were made around it, and I will be back again soon with another video.